And I forgot to turn on the microphones, so I can't start again. Welcome. Now you should actually hear us. See? And this is sort of like, for today, some of the stuff we can actually talk about. I wanted to share my thoughts regarding us being in the creator thingamajigs. And maybe just ask the live stream straight out. Are you interested in me doing clips of a podcast I appeared on or not? Danielle vaguely knows.
Video clips?
Video clips, yeah.
Okay.
I know, a little bit rambly today, but I appeared on a podcast this week from Ken, who was doing one of the very cool videos about Portmaster and how to use it, and giving me actually feedback in advance as well about what his thoughts are. He's more of a security channel as well, and with people who want to get into cybersecurity in general. So not quite the same audience as we are here, but yeah, similar enough. Pablo's Cloud, greetings. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Always fun reading names live. Exactly. So Ken is having his own channel and stuff, and he was fairly new on YouTube when he did his Portmaster video, and it was one of the biggest ones that he made. And so I reached out back then and was like, "Hey, do you need anything? Can we help? Was everything clear? Can we?" And typically, just for everybody who's watching, typically people don't reach out before they write posts or do videos.
Yeah, we'd love to though. It would be cool, first to know that something's coming.
Exactly.
And second, kind of to offer checks did I understand this correctly or this correctly, stuff like that. So kind of it would feel natural for us, of course. We've never been on the other side, of course, so we don't know how things run over there, like in a kind of newspaper or kind of a magazine setting or a YouTube creator setting. We don't just know the other side, so we don't know what their struggles are and how things are going there. We just don't know. But for us, we kind of expected it to some extent, I think.
That people reach out?
Yeah, but
absolutely.
It never happens. So
it never happens.
It's always kind of, hey, that magazine wrote about us. Interesting. What did I write? Oh, is it correct?
And often people reach out to us and let us know. Yeah, I think you're especially referring to when we were in CT, which is a German magazine, very big in the computer corner of the German-speaking world. And when we were on their cover, actually, mentioned on the cover, not the main thing. I don't know actually what the main thing was, but we had a full page review. They never reached out. We had no clue. And others told us, "Oh, you will be in." And I'm like, "Oh, interesting. Sure, cool." So with Ken, it was similar. He did the video, and then I reached out, and then now he basically asked, "Hey, I'm starting to do a podcast format. Do you want to come on as a guest?" And I said yes, and then afterwards he's like, and I know that some YouTubers are like, okay, we don't want you to look over the video before we release it. And I immediately understood, that's not an issue, but he asked if I want to have the video as well, so that we can post it on our channel. I mean, we're 1,000-ish, 1.1 thousand. Is everything all right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so.
Okay. We're coming out of it's April. A lot of people around us have been getting sick lately.
Yeah, really, Bill. I think I'm gonna pull in much better, so it's gonna be back in a second.
Okay. So he asked if I want to have the video, and I'm like, sure, you can. Send it over, and I can start posting stuff as well. But let us know how you would like it. For me to add stuff, for me to sort of chop it up into small bits. At least that's what he suggested. But shorts, I don't watch shorts. I hate shorts. But again, we're not content creators, so I don't mind getting advice from you guys. Pablo said, and maybe that's for you, Daniel, when you're back here. He's hyped for the macOS version. macOS will be a little bit out, just to let you know. The next thing is Android, and I think we're very I hope we're public enough about this. Android is the next thing, then probably iOS before macOS. Just because, from an operating point of view, that's mobile are the next two big ones, of course, and one could absolutely argue that, of course, Android and iOS are bigger than Linux, but Linux was just for one fairly easy to do, and for another just something that we use as well. So typically when you develop software, you do it for yourself, and if it's good enough, you share it with others. So
at least that's how it works in the open source world.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a need, and then you need what you need yourself, and then kind of start just doing stuff, and I'm working on that. So yeah. But we did meet. I don't know if we mentioned that on live stream. We did.
Yeah, we did.
We did meet Little Snitch, people from Little Snitch. So their office is
half an hour,
just a couple of kilometers from here, but still a big city. So half an hour of with the car from here. So that was fun meeting them and kind of chatting with them. Also, kind of technically what their challenges were on macOS and what challenge we had Windows and Linux. So that was fun. So yeah.
Also, folks who are not content creators. So the Little Snitch folks, they are a small team. I think it's 4 friends and a couple of now they used to. They told us the story. They used to start their whole thing in the 90s, and there were 4 friends back then. One of them is not now is not part of Little Snitch anymore, but they only have a couple of employees, and super cool team, super cool to get to know them. And yeah, so if you're on macOS, we can recommend Little Snitch. They are not open source, but the people behind it look very trustworthy, and super nice.
Yeah, super cool guys.
Yeah. So I can recommend Little Snitch. Also part of the thing where we're okay, where is the need the biggest? And we saw that the need on Windows, of course, was the biggest. We looked at the competition and saw that they are all relying on Windows to do the actual filtering, and we're well, I mean, if you don't trust Windows, Microsoft, why are you using Windows? But they're not doing their own kernel extensions.
Yeah, we just have much more flexibility, and we can do more stuff because kind of we are in the lowest layer we can be. So we don't instruct the Windows firewall to do something. We do it ourselves.
Exactly.
And we look at every packet and we check things and kind of.
So the need on Windows was more important, and that's the reason why we went there. We wanted to go on macOS from the start as well, but that's actually one of the first things where we learned, okay, we need to focus. So even though we have not fully grasped what an MVP is until 2 years ago, 1.5,
maybe
we very quickly understood that going for 3 major operating systems at the same time is too much, and that we need to focus and reduce and stuff like that. But initially also we developed Portmaster mostly on Macs.
Yeah, that was
a very weird choice, yeah. The reason for it was that we wanted to use time machine backups because they're very cool.
Yes. So the Mac ecosystem does give you a couple of nice things, and the reason we actually didn't target macOS as the first platform, because that's what we were working on, was that at the time Apple announced that the kernel extensions were being deprecated. So we'd be building on a technology that 2 years later would not exist anymore.
Yeah.
And said that, of course, is a really terrible idea. And that was really interesting having a chat with the Little Snitch guys, because they actually were one of the primary other kind of teams outside of Apple who were in contact with Apple. They had a direct contact to developers developing the new system called Network Extensions, I think. and they were kind of just chipping in all their feature requests in order to build a little snitch on the new platform.
But of course, like they were already fairly big at that point. Again, this was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and so Little Snitch at that point was already 20 years old. So they had a long-term relationship with Apple, and we would not.
To some extent, Apple built the network extension system kind of for Little Snitch because they were kind of one of the big other firewalls on there, or like more common ones. And that was really interesting. So that they had a big play in how Apple built that system. So that was a really interesting story to hear. And of course, that took a while. And they had so many issues, so many bugs. And still they say, as soon as like things reached a certain point, Apple just stopped responding. So they internally closed the project. We're like, yep, that's done. Let's move on. So they still have bugs in there that they know and stuff like that. So for example, Apple has a way where Apple tells them which domain a connection belongs to. So they
you're going way into the weeds now.
They help with like matching domains and IPs, but it only works in 80% of the time. So like, it's a solution, but it's buggy and all this correct. So yeah,
not cool.
Yeah, it is weird. So
not sure when we will start doing Mac. And maybe, like, who knows, maybe they will change stuff again, and because they made the switch to Apple Silicon. And when they don't support any Intel stuff, maybe they will do something new again. Who knows? I mean, operating system and underlying platform, they don't have to change that much, but yeah, we'll see. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Next is Android, and Pablo actually said, like, Android is his mobile operating system anyway. So yeah, no, looking forward. And we understand, we know that Android is one of our it needs to be one of our priorities in regards to moving forward. But as we talked in the last couple of live streams, currently we're working on stabilizing stuff in the background. Doing stuff like in regards to how data is stored and structured, so that it's like that the portmaster installation does not balloon up and get bigger and bigger, so that we can actually reduce the sizes again for running installations and so on, and actually do a switch from Electron away to Talby. Getting some of the Rust people on board, because Talby is built in Rust, and the kernel extension. Isn't there the kernel extension currently in beta as well?
Not yet. We're still in the final touches of finalizing it. I hope we'll have it in beta soon. I don't know when exactly. But
so Windows kernel extension, which we're currently rebuilding, also with more Rust in there as well.
It just makes things more stable, easier to maintain, and we hope to fix the previous problems that we weren't able to solve with the current one. So it's a big improvement on there, and that's really nice.
But we have not seen a lot of bug reports in regards to the kernel extension anymore.
That is true.
It has died out. Everything comes in phases, for some period, a lot of VPN people are asking, oh, my VPN is not working, and this is not working, and stuff like that, and then it dies down again. And then some people are like, oh, my Windows stuff does not work, and this is not working and stuff, and then it dies down again. And then, I don't know what the others is. Oh, and then the Linux folks, and they're all like, oh, in my distribution, this and that, and it's always
interesting,
in phases.
Right? How kind of
different communities.
It's not just one person shows up; it's always a couple in a short time frame, and then it stops again.
Yeah.
So
for months, sometimes over a year, and then they're like, "Oh, there has been an issue for like a year ago," and I'm like, "We had a couple of updates in the meantime. I'm very sure I'm not reopening this issue on GitHub, but please get a new one. Your issue." It sounds similar, but it's probably not the same, and stuff like that. Always fun to talk with people and to sort of like figure out what they're about, what they're up to, what their issues are, and so on.
So what was this thing with Ken about again? I really don't know.
Okay. No. Yeah. No. So Ken was just asking if I wanted to be a guest on his new format and like doing a podcast. And for people who don't know, I'm actually a co-host on a cybersecurity podcast. It has basically nothing to do with saving and is just a fun project. What I'm doing next to everything I'm already doing anyway. It's with Ben Meliso, the Century Sounds of InfoSec, if you want to look it up. The fun thing about it is that Ben, like, we started it because Ben actually wrote a book against privacy, where he wanted to make the case that we cannot have privacy anyway. There will always be people who can spy on us, and to get, and we agree actually that there needs to be an equilibrium, and that the powers are too uneven. And what we're saying, well, we need to increase the power on the individual side with Portmaster and stuff like solutions like ours. And he is like, no, we need to decrease their power by making the data that they have available for everybody to look at and stuff like that. But it's very dystopian, I think, what he actually proposed.
It is super weird because kind of like limitless transparency on all sides is an interesting concept to think about, but the thing is that, of course, the one who wants power doesn't want transparency. So governments, to some extent, will always have secrets, and I agree that we need to like make governments more transparent, but I don't think that making like people, citizens more transparent, actually gives value to society.
Oh no!
So
he's interesting argument. You can read his book. You can read his book if you want. It's called Exposed. I have some familiarities with being on podcasts and so on, and so Ken was just like going into this new direction, then asking.
So what's his podcast about?
It's cybersecurity.
Is there a special like turn to it, or like special focus or something?
He tries to be very educational about that sort of stuff. So and I feel we require that actually. Like a lot of people and a lot of folk, and this is something that I said in that podcast as well, is a lot of folk coming into our Discord or part of our community are already more educated in regards to cybersecurity because they're sort of like at least aware of some of the good practices in there. But sometimes there are people who are like telling me they're using Avira and antivirus. And what I said was in the podcast, I had an Avira phase as well, but mine was 15 or 20 years ago. Then I had a Sophos phase because Sophos was better than Avira, like by a mile. And then I had a silence phase for a long time. You actually recommended it to me, I think 10 years ago.
When they kind of entered the market.
Exactly. And then I stopped using antivirus overall because like there was a shift. Microsoft actually took security more serious, and Windows Defender was actually the best choice because you're not introducing some third-party application into the whole mix, which has deep access and weird access and like actually opens you up to like increases your attack surface to a certain degree. Because if they have an exploit, then some other process can use that exploit through the antivirus, which has deep access, to actually infect you even deeper than it would be able to without it. So, and he's doing a lot of educational stuff where he wants to sort of like, and actually I think does a good job in teaching people that sort of thing. And so when I'm saying like we are not content creators, I mean it. And I would say like we do our best in regards to where we are experts in, which we more and more learned is network security. And I actually said that in the podcast as well. We're good in network security, and we learned there are so many things we're not good at. Like system administration has for the longest time been a hot potato, sort of like between us, and I was throwing it into your corner and you were throwing it back, and we sort of
but that's primarily because that's not our focus of what we're doing here. So I don't think it's kind of I think it needs to be differentiated between something we're not good at and something kind of that just doesn't get the resources it would need because it's not so urgent and important.
True.
So,
But I would
it's
say
kind of a mixture between, of course. So we're not experts in it, but we can do it.
absolutely.
But it's not that's not our daily business.
Exactly.
It's kind of just something that we also need to do.
Yeah.
Like taxes. We're not expert in taxes, but we have to do taxes.
Exactly. And we have to write texts, and we have and I like these videos. We are creating some content.
Yeah. But we're not content creators. That's not our profession.
Exactly. And that's the reason, like, in I think I did not say this live, but what I said, like, on the podcast, but what I told him was, for the videos that we do here, typically they're either live or they're one takes. Because for me, it's easier to record the same-ish video 5 times than to actually go in and cut something together that works. So I rather start over again, or do only minor editing, because like going in and redoing everything is easier than trying to gobble something together. If you're interested in helping us, please reach out. But I feel like this works. Also, this, of course, is very transparent.
I think we're doing okay.
I also think we're okay. We actually are growing. We are like at, as I said, 1,100 now. So subscribers. So thank you for everybody who's subscribing. And the goal of this is different. We're not here for, like, we don't require any money from YouTube. We're building Portmaster. That's where we're good at. And
we don't want to attract people who watch YouTube. We want to attract people that use Portmaster.
Exactly.
So it's very different how we handle that.
Yeah. Also, why there is a notification in Portmaster that tells you about the upcoming live streams. I think we missed that for me.
Yeah, we should. I had the same thought. I was like, I thought about it yesterday evening. I'm like, that's something we have to do tomorrow. But
it's 1st of May. Well,
yeah, exactly. It's 1st of May. I have to do something. Oh wait, So.
Yeah, but we will update it in Portmaster. If you have not seen it, of course, there's every other week. We're doing it, no matter if it is in Portmaster. Some dates are not, like when we both know we don't have time, then we skip one.
Yeah, sometimes we skip it, but normally
typically
every second week.
Exactly. So you can, of course, check the YouTube channel if you're not sure, and you should see a video up here. Okay. So that's basically it. Ken is doing a lot of like different educational stuff, which is super interesting because it's sort of like, as I said, adjacent to what we sort of like would in an ideal world like to do as well. Because privacy is not just about like building something for yourself, but it's also about teaching others around you what to do. And I like what Kerry Parker from Firewalls Don't Stop Dragons keeps on saying, like, privacy is a we thing. If you're using Gmail and we're writing emails, then it does not matter how encrypted and secure my emails are. On the other end, like, the sent and the received emails are then still both on Google servers, and so privacy is out of the window again. And so you always need to sort of like be mindful about, like, when you want to be private, how do the people around you treat your data, and how are you continuing to use it? So even though Portmaster helps you keep your data secure and managed, others and people around you might leak your data anyway. So it's important to keep that in mind and to sort of like check as well.
Yeah. So you were on the first episode of second?
No. Yeah, I think he has. One I think was released before me, and I don't know if there is another one.
Okay, so you don't know which one you're really on.
No, and I don't even know when mine will be out. This is typical in the content creation business. I don't know if you know that, but I think a lot of it is pre-recorded. When we were on TV, it was in the box, I think, half a year before it got released.
that was really, really weird.
It was.
Yeah, because like you had to fake it like it was that other date where it aired.
Yeah.
So, and also kind of they cut it so like so much that they kind of created a lot more drama than actually was the situation. So it would like really weird, like cut sentences in between, switch camera angle to somewhere else, some dramatic music, and then it goes back to you talking, but this pause never existed. It was one continuous sentence. So that was just really eye opening on kind of how like content creation really just tries to like frame everything the way they want. So that was interesting to kind of have this first hand experience, like see this happening. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm not watching any TV anyway, so I don't care. One of the other things we talked about, which is a lot of fun, and I know, like, people, please ask us questions about the stuff you want us to talk about. We have not gotten any questions in advance, so we're just like available. But to piggyback on a different topic, I'd like to pick your brain maybe then when we're in the realm of content creation and talking about that stuff. We talked about sort of like how YouTube is different from other social media platforms and from other stuff, because like, and I said this, I de-googled everything except YouTube. I'm using a different mapping service than, and I know for a lot of people, Google Maps is actually what they're sort of like what they can't get away off because it's good. There are different options out there. Have a look. OSM, I don't know what the app is. OpenStreetMaps apps are typically not the way to go. I tried that. I paid for it because I thought, well, I want to maybe support help them to get better. It did not help. But there are other options out there. Take a look. And even Apple Maps is fairly good now. So I think that's a valid alternative. Of course, you need to have an iOS device in your car or somewhere to actually use it while on the go. But yeah, Organic Maps publishes.
That's the one I'm using. That's pretty good.
Okay, but it's OSM as well.
Yeah.
But their routing is better.
It's okay. I mean, I have a German car which has a navigation system, so I kind of compared these two, like German car against Organic Maps, and we're like, okay.
Is Organic Maps also a German project?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
I guess it's just I guess it's an open source project, so like there people are all around the world working on it.
That's true.
Development probably isn't like super fast. I haven't noticed any change since I'm using it, so I guess it's kind of a.
But open source is a big thing, as far as I can tell. Now that I learned that Proxmox is out from Vienna, OpenSUSE I think is Germany.
Yeah, Germany.
Manjaro is Austrian. So Austria, Vienna as well. What else is there? Big distributions. But like a couple of fairly big projects are in the German-speaking area, and I'm like, this is super interesting. I was not aware that we're like in good company around here when it comes to open source.
I mean we're new to Germany, also, but others might have done this too. But Germany is like famous for some cities actually completely switching their government kind of to open source. So
that's true.
That's a really like interesting thing that I only know that happened in Germany.
France is trying to ditch, of course, the Office suite. And switching to something else, which I can tell you I like so many issues with. This is the other thing, like where every time I try to use only Office or LibreOffice, I hate that I know how to do it in Microsoft Office in 3 to 4 clicks, and every time I want to do it in one of those, I'm like, oh, this is stupid how they implemented it, and I have to look for it, and it's not where it's supposed to be, and it's horrible. Pablo said Organic Maps is great because it has Android Auto, but it does not have traffic information.
Yeah, traffic information is really hard, and that's kind of only what Google and Apple gets you because they farm the data of all their devices, and that's kind of the only way they can get that data.
To that like degree of information, of course.
So
And
my
like detail,
car,
yeah.
of course, like receives the traffic information that goes over radio. So I get ish things, but the car can't decide between like how big the issue is on the street. So it just defaults to avoiding it at all costs, which sometimes is slower because it doesn't know like is it already dissolving or is kind of just building up. So it just really doesn't have any further information. So
Yeah.
that kind of is weird, but that's kind of at least there is something. But that kind of helps me use organic maps because I do have some information on traffic, so I don't have to like
Fully rely.
immediately go to Google or Apple.
But you have been
and I
stuck
can
in
manage.
traffic.
I've been stuck in traffic. Yeah, and I love it when I like on ramp onto the highway, and on the on ramp the car just tells me, oh, I have a traffic jam ahead. I mean, you could have told me earlier, and I would have gone differently. Should have, yeah, but yeah.
No. But we're not. So people sometimes ask us if we're gonna do a browser, and this is a potential in the far future. But maps, I don't think we're gonna touch anytime soon. Even though I would love a good alternative, like with proper lane like mapping and telling you what lane to pick and stuff like that.
It's really kind of a chicken egg problem because you can do it better, but you need a lot of people. And that's kind of the thing, like nobody uses it because you don't have data, because you don't have the people, because you don't have the data, because you don't have the people. So it kind of like
chicken egg problem, as you're saying. Well,
yeah,
you'd have to piggyback. You would first have to build an app that's super great that people use for a different thing, and then switch over. This is the reason why I'm saying I think Discord would be in the perfect spot to dethrone Steam and Valve. And I'm not saying that they should. I like my Steam and everything, and I like what they're doing with Proton. But I think Discord at this moment would be the perfect, like, because it's trusted. They're already in the gamer sort of like realm, and they already have figured out something that Valve never did. That's like how to manage like friend lists and like the community aspect, because you can do that in Steam. You can call somebody. You can actually create small servers instead. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
groups. No one is using it, but Discord could do that instead of selling you some weird skin icon thingamajigs. They should start selling games. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it starts off with a different app. I don't know, maybe something
the
like...
thing is, if you start with a different app, then people will understand why it's important for them to share that data in a as private as possible way, because kind of you have to set it up in a way that it's clear for people that this is the end goal, and you're just a step in between right now. So yeah, I don't know, it's complicated. Especially swarm data is really kind of a tricky thing, also because of all the power you need for that, and the transmission and so you have to process all the data too and stuff like that. So not a small issue. And that kind of is sad, because that's kind of that's one of the examples where the product itself is kind of a natural barrier for newcomers. Similar to like operating systems for phones, which probably a bit better, but we're getting more open source there now. But still, it's a lot. Like these projects are so big that you need critical mass to get anywhere.
True.
So we won't see. I don't think we'll probably ever see a actual third operating system with an actual third app store, because no one will at the beginning put their apps there. It'll always be a compatibility layer to Android or iOS at someday. If the European Union is done like smashing their hammer on Apple, at some point maybe you can like install iOS apps on a different phone. Who knows? The EU is really having fun right now with Apple. We'll see how it relates to. But it's always going to be kind of some cross thing
interesting.
first. So kind of, as you said, kind of a step in between to kind of on-ramp and kind of to gain critical mass. So you need that's kind of a critical part of kind of getting there to get the path figured out.
You don't think that like the Steam Deck can get Valve into like bringing Linux as a mobile operating system back in through a game console, and then who knows, like
it's
a small
niche,
game. It is a little bit niche, but
yeah,
Linux actually is growing in regards to the Linux desktop is growing in regards to market share. And macOS is growing and Windows is losing, and I think for good reasons. And now with the ads coming into the start menu, I have heard tons of people around me who are asking me now because they have heard that I made the switch to Linux 3 years ago, gaming on Linux as well. I dual booted for the longest time, stopped doing that for the most part. Still need to have Windows around, of course, for Portmaster and making sure that Portmaster works well on Windows. But so they are asking me now and are like, okay, good, how to do that, where to go, what to install, and stuff like that. And actually, my sister-in-law, I gave her a Linux laptop for stuff she needed, and she sort of like did not even, like, she does not know that, like, she knows it's not Windows.
Oh, you didn't tell her it's Linux?
No, but but it worked well. I mean, I don't know why, but managed to install Chrome, because I did not install Chrome on that device.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she actually managed to install programs on there, which I would strongly disapprove, of course, of. But yeah, she likes giving Google her data, so I don't care that much. I care a bit about my data.
I thought privacy is a wee thing.
It is a wee thing.
What happened about that one?
No, but you need to, like, you need to, of course, be aware, and that's part of the teaching thing. You need to be aware where people are, and you need to sort of like educate them step by step. So, yeah, but yes. So, Google Chrome, that she has been able to install it on her own. I think it was Fedora. I mean, Fedora is super easy. My first recommendation for people who are looking into Linux would be Fedora, and so with GNOME, of course. There has been some Plasma 6 fans in the Fedora subreddit, and who are like, oh yeah, Plasma 6, and then it's not working, and then everybody's like, well, that's KDE for you. No, but because I'm also coming from the Mac world, and I just like the screens next to each other, and how, like, I feel like GNOME is more akin to how macOS is working.
You want big, smooth icons, not small, edgy ones.
That's not true.
Oh, you like small, edgy ones. So you're actually a KDE type of guy, but you were coerced into using Mac?
No.
So you now love?
No.
Big, smooth icons?
I always have everything as small as possible, and even with my fairly bad eyesight, dark mode everything, and I find it so funny with all the people who are like, oh, why is Portmaster everything in dark mode? Oh, people with bad eyesight. I'm like, I have fairly bad eyesight. It works well.
Well,
for
it's
me.
a different type of bad eyesight.
Sure, I have astigmatism as well. It's not just
it's
short-sightedness.
What I understood with dark mode is that it's especially hard for people who like have issues with colors, not with kind of focus.
Okay. No, my focus as well.
So yeah, so you have a focus correction on, so that has been corrected. But correcting kind of color recognition is a lot harder, and dark mode stuff seems to be a lot more similar in color and less contrast. So that makes it a lot harder to
discern. Sure about that? Isn't the high contrast thing always like, I like switching some websites to high contrast because it turns them into a dark mode, and I'm like, great. I'm not sure if you're right about
dark mode with very, very bright elements, because
white.
That creates contrast.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, whatever. I think Portmaster looks well how it is. I like the dark mode. And so I'm not pushing for any light mode anytime soon. I'm sorry.
We don't have support in the UI for that, so it would be a lot of work to kind of make this nice in both, because then you have to start changing things around, and if you don't want to do like every element by hand, you have to kind of do generalized stuff, but then you have to go through and fix things. So we'd have to kind of redo dark mode when we do light mode. I've recently done a UI that's dark and light mode, a very small one for a private project. And it was interesting kind of to somehow get it to work that it looks good on both, without doing custom stuff for like both sides. So not that easy. Yeah.
Interesting. Well then, I know have been rambling and just telling stories for the past 45-ish minutes, but yeah, I guess we have a long and busy day.
I think we're good for
behind us and still before us. Just to get the information out and to give you an update about current progress in different areas, because like updates have been slow, and I think we have something in beta for over a week now, which is not been stable yet.
Investigating bugs.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like we're chugging along. It's rough and tough, and it's like we'd love to push more updates and more frequent, but we want to stabilize things. So we actually need to get to the bottom of things that don't work. And it's not about rushing out features. It's about finding everything, going as deep as it needs to be, and then changing things, and then testing them, because it has been a deep change. You need to test them thoroughly and stuff like that. So be patient with us. And also the live streams might be more like this today, more rambly and just things. If you like that, let us know in the comments. If you rather have us talk about some other stuff, please send us questions in advance. The Discord is a great place to do that. The comments below the video are a cool place to do that. You can also send us emails if you want, with questions. That has been a while since I've gotten an email for the live stream. We're getting tons of emails about other stuff, but for the live stream, would love to get some emails in that regard. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Pablo just says as well. Yeah, it is an important program. It's better to do it right. Thank you for your understanding, and yeah, I hope most people understand. That's an honest hope here. Yeah, again, thank you for everybody also who is active on the Discord, and and of course Pablo, who is active in the live chat. Thank you for all the people who are supporting us with Portmaster Plus and Pro.
Definitely.
Also, some people have started donating via GitHub. Also, cool. Super cool. Yeah. So thank you all for being part of our journey here. And we wish you a great afternoon or morning or whatever. And see you in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.